So welcome to Mansion of the Heart TV. I'm Satdev Beer, and this is our series with artists with something to say. And today's guest fits that description so very well. I'm so excited to welcome the one and only Julie Frost. And in her own words, I'm Julie Frost, a human, a multi-award-winning writer of songs for myself and the stars, an artist, and an animal lover. I hope you enjoy this interview. We are going to dive into all things. She's given me full permission to ask anything I want to ask. And I feel like this is one of the things that makes you so magical is that you lean into the vulnerability, you find ways to express what's going on within you, and it just projects as magic. It's like whatever it is that comes forth from you, there seems to always be a profundity, and you also do it with humor. And I'm just so happy that you're here. So thank you for being here. And yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for that lovely introduction that I helped write for myself.
Well, and we'll get into that too, because this is a very succinct version. This is not like a proper bio. Your bio is like 10 pages long, and you just have so many amazing accomplishments. The greatest one being who you are, of course, which I'm sure is why all of these amazing things pour forth from you and you get recognized for them. But yeah, that little tiny tidbit of an introduction was from your latest book, right?
Yes.
Which I have here, so we'll talk about that later. But can you please just let us in a little bit on what it was like, kind of your coming of age as an artist? And did you feel like you were just born this way, or how did this happen?
Well, I likely was born this way, but I might not have known it. You know, I I think there is more than one huge crossroad, or what you might describe as coming of age. Huge turning points in the journey. But one of the first ones was even realizing that I was creative, which is kind of hilarious because I was convinced that I absolutely was not for, you know, in my formative years. When I was little, I used to play singer. I used to make up songs. I used to had a little typewriter. I'd make stories about my cats. Somewhere along the line, in life, in school, in interacting with other people, I was like, oh, I'm not creative at all, but I'm very intellectual. And I'm probably gonna need to be an accountant or something like that, which is, anyone who knows me at all knows that that's the funniest thing. That's hilarious and would be an absolute disaster. But yeah, so I sort of thought there's creative people, and I had seen a few of them, and it was like they would just draw and it would just come out of them and it would be amazing. And I thought it's something that you have or you don't, and I don't. And this was absolute fact to me. I think part of it was I might have shown up. I'm not sure how I developed the perfectionism that I have, but I also was kind of like, if it's not really great and perfect, it must not be what I'm meant to be doing, you know?
Hmm.
All kinds of things that would make you a great artist if you survive. But anyway, I um, I did always love music. So my first song that I ever wrote, it actually came about I was, young. I had 2 waitressing jobs. I was in Chicago. I was just trying to live. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing or what the point of any of it was, And it was one of those books that ask you a question like, if you had unlimited time and resources and talent, everything, like, what would you do? And I was like, I would play guitar on stage.
Mm.
And then it was like, well, where are you in relation to that? Make a, and I was like, I couldn't even sing in front of people. I had stage fright, like debilitating stage fright. I had frozen on a school play, frozen on stage, couldn't move. So had no stage legs at all. Couldn't even sing in front of people, really much. So I couldn't have been further from that dream. But it was like, if I could have any kind of crazy dream, I always loved music. I mean, I would come home, put the headphones on, and Don't Talk to Me, The Police and Quiet Riot and,
Wow.
and Cyndi Lauper. I mean, Paul Simon. And so anyway, I said, okay, well, the starting point is to get my stage legs. And I was taking guitar lessons at this point. Also, I've never had any really classical music training or songwriting classes or been to music school or anything like that. But I've had people help and teach me more like folk style. But yeah. And he said, I bet I can tell by your speaking voice that you can probably sing. And, the only way you're going to get over your stage fright is on stage. Like, you can't possibly confront your stage fright from your living room. You had to just get on stage. And so I just took a piece of notebook paper and I made, a list of the dates. And I was like, I'm going to go to an open mic once a week. And if I get on stage and make any kind of noise at all in front of everyone, I'm going to make a check mark. And I'm doing that until I can sing in front of people the way I sing by myself in the living room, which was with complete abandon and a lot of joy, playing guitar and singing. So I just made a checklist and I was like, it was torture. It really was torture. I think and I had no idea that this was going to unlock the key to my whole life's work. And, one of my main reasons for being here, I just was like, I don't like that I have this, like I had to turn and walk into the scariest thing, really, to find myself. And that's what it started out as. Like, let me just confront this fear. And that's what I did. And no matter what happened, I kept on going and I kept on going and I kept on going. And at some point in this young, lost phase, confronting my stage fright, doing open mics on the far north side of Chicago, in Rogers Park mostly, I had a terrible day. And one of my only sort of outlets was journaling, like doing the stream of consciousness. I mean, I was seeking. I was lost, but I was seeking. And that was another thing. It was like, well, you can ask yourself a question and then answer with your other, to get in touch with something outside yourself or bigger than yourself or deep within yourself. And so one of those things is to do is like a stream of consciousness writing. And I was just crying and I was just writing and I was crying and just writing, getting it all out and all out. And all of a sudden, these stanzas came out and they rhymed, like they came out completely formed, very real, very like it came through me, not from me in my mind. I wasn't like, I'm going to sit down and write a prose about this day. It was like a stream or a flow coming through me and yet it was from more than me. And it came as a complete song. And I just was like, oh. And I went and I sang it over a chord progression that somebody had taught me. And it was a proper song. And that was my first song. I mean, I was completely shocked. It was called gallery, and it was just about how life, about the beautiful moments that you want to save even when life is really hard. You know, I'm looking at you and I want this moment photographed and on my wall forever. Like I'm having a bad day, but there you are, and I'm recognizing it. And that was sort of like the gist of the song. And then at this time, I was like getting my open mic legs, and I performed that song, and I won the open mic. It was happened to be a competition, and I won $50. Yes, and I won $50 and like a terrible slot, like a 6:30 on a Tuesday, gig, opening gig. That was the prize if you won the open mic. And that was the first time I had a gig, and it was like my name was in the paper and in the Chicago Reader. And but I will say, I when that happened, it was such a revelation. I said, I can't sell cameras or answer phone. Like anything I tried to do, I was like, how am I supposed to care about? Like, I was like, oh, I'm a songwriter. I've been a songwriter this whole time. Now, all the feeling of being like a square peg in a round hole, all this time has made sense. I don't fit in any of those things. I'm a songwriter. No problem. I'll just be that. I mean, I was so naive. I was like, what a relief. Okay, I'll just do that. It's the easiest thing in the world. Become a successful singer-songwriter. No problem. But I was relieved. I was really happy. I'm like, oh, now I know. And I
Mm.
really, really knew, and then it never went away. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take up, watercolor or, or basket weaving or something. It was like, oh, this is what I'm going to put all of everything that I've got into until forever, as long as it takes, whatever it takes. And that's what I did. So that was one major turning point. I hope I answered the question.
Oh, that was so brilliant. I mean, and you touched on so many things that I work with all the time with my clients. It's like, people come in. Just last night I had someone come in and say, I have no passion. Like I don't know. I don't think I have any creativity or gifts and so yeah, it's so incredible to hear you speak to having that same feeling, which we've known each other for years now, and I've never heard that story. I would have never suspected that you didn't think of yourself as a creative person. I mean, that is such beautiful evidence that if we open up to that automatic writing, or if we ask ourselves those questions, if I had all the talent and all the time and all the resources, what would I do? And ask as many times as it takes, right? Sometimes you don't get the answer the first few times, but just that
Yeah.
inquiry of continuing to connect to yourself. I mean, all of that is just so valuable that you've shared already. And just this bigger picture of streaming the consciousness, and that's what inspired this whole series, because I've just really noticed that artists tend to have these channels to spirit, and I think that art is one of the most exalted forms of spirituality. Like, of course, I'm all about the meditation and this and that, but there's just something so robust about the art and something so authentic that I find in artists such as yourself, that you're willing to wrestle with the feelings, you're willing to be exposed, and even when you have no stage legs and you're terrified, there's something that's saying lean in anyway. And that was just so incredible to hear you speak to that as well, that there was just something there that you knew you had to do it, and you lined up with the right person who said, hey, you're not gonna get over this in your living room. You're just gonna have to get out there. And I loved hearing that part of your story. That was so cool and so inspiring. So, yeah, thank you for letting us in on all of that. And I mean, the other thing that I'm so blown away by is that you actually didn't keep yourself in that box either, though. Like you're doing your photography and you're doing your writing of, the book is out and you have this cool way of designing like the visual art you create. So, so I love that even though you've had all this success as a songwriter, you're also allowing yourself to express through all these different mediums and all these different ways as you're called. And I think that's so cool too, that you didn't like lock yourself into this one lane. But yeah, but I'm so curious because we've talked about some of the songs that you've written and you've shared with me a little bit about some of the sessions and just the energy that comes in. And it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, some of the lyrics are just
Mm.
beyond. And then sometimes they sound like maybe your average love song, but then you've kind of told me in the past that like, oh, this was actually about a different kind of relationship, or this was about God, or
Um,
so I mean, yeah, I love that too, that there's this capacity for the listener to interpret it how they want to, but getting to know you and where you're coming from with some of this is just so cool as well. So yeah, so are there any songs that really stand out to you that you were just like, oh yeah, I remember exactly when that came through, or I read that lyric back and it just moved me to tears, or
oh my gosh. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs. There's
mm,
a lot of stories. Um, but yeah, to your point, I mean, actually, I kind of had forgotten that. I did discover a love for photography. And that was another piece. And, again, going back, I feel like we have so much intelligence about ourselves when we're children that the world, if you're not careful, is likely to you know, try to talk you out of or whatever it is. And but I do remember just being little and like looking at I had a lazy eye. You know what that is? Like when you have to, so I had to wear a patch and glasses. So that's how you could make a good singer-songwriter right there. I had to wear a patch, a flesh-colored patch and glasses. And I remember, I was told, this eye does this and this eye does that, and we're trying to strengthen it. And I remember I was always looking through and around the patch and, glasses on, glasses off, like this kind of thing. And then that kind of stabilized into where I just needed glasses. But I would kind of look and I would feel like, wow, like look how that looks next to that. Like dimension or like the relationships between planes and things like that. I don't think my development of my physical vision was in a straight line as some others were. So I think that I don't know if that contributed to it, if I just came with it, because I know we come with a lot of stuff, but I would be like framing things, always framing things and composing things and noticing, oh, now that's in focus, now that's in focus, because my eyes are wonky. So it wasn't, so photography just like really inspired me. And yeah, it's it's it does require mind, but it's like the music or the source. It's like, how do I get the mind out of the way? How do I actually get the mind out of the way and have no agenda,
hmm
and allow something that I just know I didn't come up with my mind. And so, I mean, one time I would describe it as I was in this session. It it was, I mean, when I'm by myself, to get in touch with that flow is one thing, but to be in a writing session, in a record label with A&Rs and, an entourage and an artist and all kinds of, like, and then collaborating. So staying open and sensitive and doing your thing while that requires a lot of strength that I had to develop, you know?
Oh,
And I remember one time being, and a lot of times it's just choosing to stay open. Like it looks hopeless, but I'm just going to trust that there is a great song that's going to be in this room at a certain point, and I'm going to have my part and everyone's going to have their part, and whatever is greater than the sum of our parts, let that be what it is. And if I'm just sitting there not shutting down or shutting off or storming off or whatever, and just staying open and just staying open no matter what, and just hanging out and just persevering through it. That's a huge part of the collaboration process for me. And I remember one time, this really particularly hard session where I actually thought we are not going to get anything, you know? And then just, and sometimes it takes like a trip to the corner for a smoothie or something like that. Like sometimes I will go, okay, let me just go. But it was as if a little bird came and sat on my shoulder and was like, da, 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 you know, gave me the melody. And and then I sang the melody, and then they came out like, oh, that's the melody. And I couldn't get my own thought, even if I tried in that circumstance. So it's just kind of like a gift that I made space for so it could just come gently land like a little bird and sing a melody into my ear. That's a story of that. That's like the juxtaposition of the softness and the openness
mhm.
within the context of the industry and the business and the, you know, the song machine, you know,
Yeah.
aspect of it. And yeah, I have a lot of stories like that. Um, I,
So incredible. I mean, I also love when you were describing the thing with the eyes. Sometimes when I teach meditation techniques and whatnot, there is something about softening your gaze because super sharp vision is very connected to left brain. So yeah, to get into your right brain to allow that artistic vision with photography, or to just move the cerebral mind to the background, as you were saying, for something like a songwriting session, just yeah, that you already had that experience of maybe being a little more right brain oriented, and then you obviously have cultivated this beautiful spiritual connection, which I want to ask you about soon too. But yeah, I love this process and how you named even under pressure and even in these situations that's telling yourself to stay open and really kind of guiding your orientation in that way just allows things to come in no matter the circumstance. And isn't that so helpful for everyday life in general? Like if I can just stay open, right, things will come in, the guidance will be there. It's like a profound form of trust, I think.
it's really profound, and it doesn't always come easy. It's something I've had to really practice and still have to practice and still have to remind myself and still have to choose because the temptation is shut down, shut off, you know, is can be quite palpable.
Yeah.
But on the other side of if you are able to make it through that resistance, so often is just the spiritual gold or the musical gold or the artistic gold or like the healing in a relationship. Like there's so many fruits that come from being open and soft. It's like the strength of gentleness or like the power of mercy is just, it can just eviscerate lifetimes of wound and pain or blockage or just, you know, it can just crumble if we can, you know, to the extent that we're able to hold on to that with each other.
Mhm.
Been a great place to learn that, you know, LA.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Hollywood, yeah.
So then I would love to ask you, were there any artists that you've collaborated with that you were just like, oh my gosh, this is fire. Like this is
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I really love Pitbull. I really love Pitbull, and I was surprised to have, um, you know, I had, when I got signed, I put everything I owned in a Jeep that I bought with my little advance, or like the first part of my advance. I basically had bare bones when I came to LA, enough to live for a year. I had never lived in LA. I knew like one person. And basically, I just went all over to every studio, to everything they set me up in. And I walked in and wrote a song and left, and then went to the next one, went back to Marina Del Rey where the ocean was, which I think was my ocean, was my best friend, got me through that. But I was scared all the time. I mean, I really had a year to become a hit songwriter. It was like my shot. And, like Alexander Hamilton, was like, not gonna miss my shot. And, but in this, one night I woke up in the middle of this, grind. And these words came to me. So you tried to believe in a castle made of sand. When it falls to the sea and your feet can't find dry land, reach for my hand. And it was like, woke me up. It was like, write this down. And I was like, to me, that was a message from God. I was so scared. I was so like fighting for my life. I was so in the grind. I was so like in such an intense period. And I was just creating. And I had no security, nothing. If I hadn't had any success, but I wouldn't even have known where to go. I mean, I wouldn't even have had any money or anything. So I went into my session that next day, and the producer had written a track, like having worked with me the day before, was like this, he had a track kind of come to him, a track meaning like the musical bit. So what I would normally do, the lyrics and the music, you'd call that the top line. And then the producer is more with the chords and the vibe and the rhythm and that kind of thing. So he had made a track, and it was like, and there was another writer that had joined that session, and it was like, it just sang over the track, like, so you try to believe, and it's called Castles Made of Sand. And it was such a gift to me, because to me it was like a message of comfort. At its best, when we get these downloads, if we get that love, that inspiration, that divine, whatever, that gift, if in some way in our photograph or our book or our words or our voice, if in some way any of that gets shared, that's like the ultimate, And I knew that came from like this raw, deep place, and like a very, very high plane of like the heavenly worlds to me. It says, you think this all matters? And when you realize it doesn't, I'll be here. I'll never let you down. I'll never let you down. You can build this, make these castles of sand, think it's, when you see that it's nothing, I'll be here. Reach for my hand. So I sang it, and then it like, people were like, oh, wow, Castle Made of Sand, I love it, love it. And then I heard that Pitbull took it. And I mean, I can't tell you how surreal, because I'm like a girl with a guitar. I'm like, la, 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 girl with a guitar, singing in coffee shops and things like this. And then all of a sudden I have this year where I'm like, Pitbull, like Pitbull, Pitbull, like 1, 2, 3, 4, I want you, like that. And it really moved him. It like really touched him, and he cut it, and it went on his album, and he kept it safe. Which, you know, at times, sometimes there's a thing about, you know, artists, do they just put your song on hold and then you can't give it to anyone else, and then they don't do, there's all kinds of ways along the way you can kind of get mistreated as a songwriter, but he did none of that. To him it was very special. He kept it safe, he made sure it didn't leak, he put it on the album, and that meant a lot to me. So that means a lot to me. He wrote the verses. I got to meet him, and it just goes to show how the same we all really are. Like how we love and we hurt and we're trying and we're, you know,
Even the tough guys are moved by the
yes,
art,
yes.
right?
Even a pit bull is like a castle made of sand. Like what is the truth that I can hold on to in all of this?
Mm,
It's just love, and that's all it could ever be.
yes.
That's one.
Incredible. And that flashes me back to what you were saying about just learning from people along the way. And sometimes I feel like folks disqualify themselves because they're like, I didn't start piano lessons at age 3 and I don't have all this technical this or that and I can't. But I mean, this conversation has really crystallized it for me in terms of it's never about that. People want to feel something. And if they can feel you through your expression, they'll respond to that. They don't need you to look perfect. They don't need you to sing perfectly. It's like they want to feel something. And you
Yeah.
you really just, yeah, cleared that up. That was incredible.
I mean, I have and have had all of that. And it's hard not to. The 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 way, like, because purely that feeling of like when a song comes through, it's an incredible feeling of grace for me. I love it. I love that. I love just creating. When you're in the room and you're creating and you get it, there's nothing like it. It's just the most sacred thing to share with someone else. It's just the best feeling. And then who's gonna who's gonna cut it and who's gonna buy it and will they buy it and blah da 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 and all the stuff that goes along with this in the material plane, like when the art meets that, and something that could be just like a pure transmission from God, like the most beautiful thing. And the illusion is that it's worth, you know, there's like, now there's like this linear, oh, it's worth, there's a chart, and here's it on this chart, and here it is on this chart, and how long did it stay on that chart? And like all these other things. And it's just part and parcel of the business. But even to the most basic thing of, I wrote this song, and now I'm gonna stand in a room as if, like, who am I to do this? And this is what and this is what I wrote, and these are my words, this is what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna try to pretend like if you ignore me, it's not gonna be devastating, you know? And so you have to confront your ego, and you just can't believe what a stubborn sucker that ego is. And so that all makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Makes a lot of sense. It's like your ego is trying to protect you with these thoughts, or like these things like stay safe, where I don't know where I got this go big or go home thing I've got, but because of it, like the rejections or the disappointments have been really brutal. But so have the what, wow, pinch me, is this my life moments? You know, you don't really, you can't really skip one and get the other, you know?
Yes. Oh, I was going to ask you that because you're, as I said before, you're so willing to be in the vulnerability, to be raw, to keep it real, and there's this humility in you. So what was it like when you started getting these big awards and you're like dressing up and going to award shows and all the things? Like, how did you navigate all that?
Well, it was a test. It had its tests. To It's terrifying to actually have your dream come true. Well, there's a few things about it that that's terrifying. I think one thing is you have an idea of what it would be like versus what it's actually like.
Mm,
It's like you sort of, when you're daydreaming in a pie in the sky kind of like crazy dream, you go, oh man, that would be, just look at that person, oh whatever, that'd be so incredible. And you never daydream or imagine the sacrifice, the disillusionment, the like, I don't know. So it was like all different parts. I wouldn't have changed it for, I mean, I wouldn't have missed a moment of it. Um, but it was sort of traumatic. I mean, it was very traumatic to just be struggling, and then all of a sudden, I mean, my first red carpet was the Golden Globes with Madonna. That's like, that's a very severe learning curve, you know?
yeah, major.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And I mean, I biffed all kinds of parts of it. But so I think it's just, I mean, vanity, and that's a distortion. It's a distortion to say I'm less. It's a distortion to say I'm more. Um, and that's a big one. You know, that's a big one. That's a big one to get to have in life. And so I'm grateful to strive to know the truth of that, which is it's kind of, what is the word? It's just like kind of, it's a little bit smoke and mirrors. It's a little bit not real, you know. What in substance, what am I like that? That's the, in substance, you know, not in accomplishments or not in achievements or procuring objects and things like that. But there was a really extremely beautiful moment that means a lot to me, because I got to work, and still, he's still my publisher, but he's like gone on, he's like the head of everything, practically everything in the world now, John Platt. But he was my publisher who really, really gave me my shot, man. And he hadn't that, as accomplished as he was, he hadn't been to the Golden Globes. We're talking about the Golden Globes now, but and so because I was nominated, he got to come. And then, so it was like I had this dress on, he had a tuxedo, and then they called my name. I mean, it was just such a moment. But I remember I was walking with him, and he said, "What's crazy is your pen got you here." So this is a phrase I hadn't heard before, but it's a way of describing a writer. It's a compliment. You say, "I love your pen." It means I love the words. I love your style. I love what you write.
Mm.
Everyone has a pen. And he was saying, it's crazy as your pen got you here. Like, I didn't come from a show business. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, nobody was like pulling a favor or I know somebody or anything like that. I started off gigging. Like, I did everything the hard way, the hard climb. Nothing was handed to me, but it was my pen. And I think that that's the thing that actually stays with you, or that's like the thing inside of you, is that the world didn't give me that. The world can't take that away from me. I was here, I took my pen, and I brought myself to the Golden Globes. I was like, hi, Brad Pitt. Hi. I mean, it was insane. It was like a fever dream where you fall inside a People magazine. I was just tripping over. I was like, oh, hi, Smokey Robinson. And oh, okay. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. But that moment where he said, what's crazy is your pen brought you here.
Mm.
That was like the shining moment. And the other thing, what really happens is it's kind of your life flashes before your eyes moment, because you suddenly get this clear understanding. It was, you know, my folks who bought me my first little red guitar, and it was like the person who taught me that song. And then there were the people who took guitar lessons from me when the people who like lent me their car when my car broke down when I was trying to get to gigs, and the people who, I sold CDs out of the back of my car if I had a car. People who bought those, like, you get an understanding of like, I have felt so alone. I have felt so much despair. I have felt so frustrated. I have felt so much like giving up or whatever. But in actuality, all along, there was so much love and support and like destiny, you know,
Mm.
that you can't see when you're in it. But when you have like one of those moments, the gratitude is life changing. Not the gratitude for the thing itself, but the gratitude for the story.
The journey.
Yeah,
Mm.
it was
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh, and I love how you named there's distortion in I'm more than, there's distortion in I'm less than, and yeah, to keep yourself grounded. And I know you have a spiritual practice that not every artist has. Sometimes their art is their spiritual practice, and that's beautiful too. But I feel like, yeah, with someone who's creating, usually you all have deep empathy and your deep feelers, and just to have something that can help you stay centered and grounded and in that neutrality as you're allowing everything. I feel like if there's something that gives you a sense of knowing that you can always get back to center, then there can be even more freedom in the expression. So, I mean, how did that happen with your spiritual path? And I know you've been involved with Eck for such a long time, which is so beautiful. Like, how did that portion kind of develop maybe alongside the artistry?
Yeah. Well, okay, well, that's a really good question. I don't know if I found the teaching. So, what you're talking about is there's a teaching called Eckankar, and it's 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 its main focus is spiritual freedom, which we could talk a long time about what that might mean or what that means to people. But off the cuff, I would say it's a gaining of freedom from things like vanity, like the things that would cause us to be creating karma, the things that would be binding us, right? And whatever it is that would block the flow of love.
Hmm.
So the path would be or like growth would be, can I receive more love and can I give more love? And then ultimately, could I just be love? And so, so that teaching, and you know, at the one of the main things at the beginning of this, we did a Hue chant, and Hue, the Hue song, or the practice of the Hue song, is a major, I would say, tenet of the teachings, and it's a non-directed prayer, and it sort of just, I mean, there's books and books and books about it. It's like, how would you describe Om, or you know, what do these things mean to you? You could talk about it forever, but you know, it's a sacred prayer, and it kind of says, I acknowledge that this is divine, and I want to sing along with creation and divine love and be in agreement with that. And so in doing that, I mean, so many things can come, like I feel a protection, I feel like inspiration, I feel like I get answers in dreams, I feel like I'm able to be of service, or like have inner guidance or intuition about how to be of service, or how to avoid one pothole in the road, maybe hit another, but maybe like get to miss a few because I'm tuned into the divine. So that's another aspect of it. But the teaching is that not that we have a soul, but that we are soul. So we are like these sparks, these drops of God, and we have a body. So I'm like a soul, and I have me a Julie that's got blonde hair and sings songs and talks and can be on Zoom with one of her favorite humans. And that's like the very, very, very tip of the iceberg of who I really am, which is love, which is divine love, individualized. And so the more I can align my human with my true divinity, the more free I am. I'm free to not need to be right, or I'm free to not let my insecurities keep me from doing something that would be a gift to myself and the world. Like, there's so many ways that fear confines us, and there's just as many ways that divine love can free us, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, getting back to that as much as possible on a planet where it's like pretty hard. pretty, like, that's not great.
Oh, to find some leverage and relief and resourcing through that connection. And yeah, just thinking of ourselves as that radioactive love first. It's, yes. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, so beautiful. And you radiate it. You really do. You just radiate so much love light. It's so luminous. And I'm wondering if there's any way we might be able to talk you into playing a little something for us.
Yes.
So we were chatting for just a moment before we officially started, and y'all, she picked up her guitar for a second and she did this little la-di-da thing, and I was like full chills and tearing up from like just the act of you even grabbing that guitar. It's just it's so beyond words. So if there's anything you might want to share a little something with us, that would be amazing.
Why didn't I get something prepared? Well, let me grab my guitar. Oh no, silly. I left it right here.
Even better.
I left it right here. So there's this thing that performers often have, where it's like they could have the flu, they like somebody could have just died or whatever, and when they like go on stage or when they go to perform, something kind of takes over, and you can do kind of like superhuman thing, and you don't cry, like you might be crying right up till the thing. But I'm telling you, I've lost it lately. Like I often start crying when I'm singing, and I'm like a little bit. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We want the raw you. We welcome it all.
And this one, I mean, it's so new. I don't even quite have it all memorized, but it's called "That's Where I've Gone." In Oklahoma, I weighed 7 pounds. My heart was unbroken. I fell prey to a thief in the night. The window's still open. From a breakdown in the deep end came the true words of my own pen, in the fine line between night and dawn. That's where I've gone, 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 gone. That's where I've gone, 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 gone. In South Dakota, Buffalo Bill said my Chrysler was haunted. They hung a post in the general store. It said I was still wanted. From the tail end of a tailwind came a new song like an old friend, and now I'm just singing along. And that's where I've gone, 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 gone. And that's where I've gone, 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 gone. There's a flower press out in the shed for my favorite demons. A dozen angels that sleep in my bed, and no one can see them, but I can see them. And that's where I've gone, gone, gone. That's where I've gone, gone, gone. And that's where I've gone, gone, gone. That's where I've gone. That's where I've gone.
Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness, I'm floored. I mean, from the first note, the first lyrics, I mean, oh my gosh, so deeply felt. I mean, that's going to be echoing through my cells and my soul for the rest of my life. Unbelievable.
Oh, with all my love.
Wow. Is there anything you want to share about that one?
I mean, right? Like, what is she talking about? But I yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know if this is interesting or not, but um, for me, people often say, "What do you get first, the words or the lyrics?" Like, how do you start a song? You know, I get that question a lot. It's a very understandable question, and for me, there's all kinds of different ways a song might start, but often it starts with the melody. You know, na 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 na, and then if I have chemistry with the melody, because sometimes I'll write words for other people's melody, but I have to have chemistry with that melody. Like I hear it and it's almost like this blanket of words will come down, like if the melody is shaped like a mountaintop, and then it's like, okay, well, how do I fit words on that? And then sometimes it's so interesting, the words that fit on that melody, you just kind of sing like nonsense words, or it might, then you might hear a word, or somebody else will hear a word. Wait, did you say, they'll say, wait, did you just say da 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 da? And I'll be like, yeah, you know, if they like it. And it's just like this kind of what is gonna form out of the nothingness. And so, I mean, I think it just started in Oklahoma, South Dakota. I don't know. I was just, I'm not sure. It's kind of like a road trip song. It's kind of like a cowboy. It's in 3/4. It's kind of old timey, and but it's a bit of an autobiography. You know, I was born in Tulsa, and and it's like, yes, I'm here, and I'm having this experience, and yes, and yes, and yet I'm also somewhere else, you know, above, beyond, within, something like that.
Yeah.
And that is also, that's like a beautiful thing. So I guess in a way it's about how it's just so much more.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I'm having one of those moments that you were describing before where I'm just flashing back to everything that you've shared and feeling so grateful that you stepped in as that terrified person to step onto the stage and all the things that, like, if you hadn't leaned into that, we wouldn't have just had that incredible sacred moment.
Um,
So it's just wow, blown away.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I want to definitely encourage, I always want to encourage people, like, you know, do it. Do it. We need it. We need your, sorry about the sirens, but
We need you urgently. The siren's adding emphasis.
emergency. Yeah, we need your poetry. We need your presence, and yeah, and it really is, it really is such a gift, you know. Um, I know, like, I did a stint of working at this place called the Old Town School of Folk Music. I used to do group music classes, and without fail, there'd be people learning guitar, taking beginning guitar, you know, later, 60s, 70s or something, and they always had this story of like, I wanted to play guitar, but Mrs. Something in the fourth grade told me don't ever sing, you know, or whatever. It's like something
Yes.
happens and it shuts off. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, and for one person or the world, but just to like make the sounds he came to make and the words, and don't let anything stop you.
Hmm.
Anything stop you. It's such a gift. It makes the world a little shinier when people do that, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. And speaking of shiny, this is a point of connection that we've always had together too, our love for animals.
Um,
And, everything you've done for the elephants and then the cats and the dogs. And I have my shiny limited edition version of Goldie Dreams in Colors. This is just beyond, beyond, beyond. Anybody who's ever had a fur baby soulmate, 1000% needs this book because, I mean, the art is so beautiful. Y'all aren't going to be able to see it that well, but get your own copy. It's just it's the words, the visuals, the love, the spirit, the soul, all of it is in these pages. So I know obviously this is inspired by your beloved Goldie, and yeah, how did this come to be?
What's going on here? I know. Well, I have had some, I mean, I have had book ideas that have just haven't come out yet. But I collect ideas. Like I make that very important. I call them downloads. I was like, oh, I'm getting a download, and I make a voice note. I've got thousands and thousands. And some of the ideas I've really fleshed out, and for a later date or whatever. But last year, I was in Joshua Tree, and it was New Year's Day, Joshua Tree, and I was there with Goldie, and Goldie is she's a Labrador Chihuahua mix, and I got her as a puppy. She was rescued from Texas and in a box of puppies. Yep, that's my girl right there. I mean, and it was in the middle of, lockdown, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and somehow we found each other. That's another, we could just do the Goldie podcast. I can tell you about that story. It's an incredible story, but just to say, extraordinary synchronicity that brought this little Texas puppy to me in Lincoln, Vermont, on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. And she's just the love of my life. And I was in Joshua Tree, which is a very special. If you haven't been, I can't recommend it enough, because it's just the biggest sky, the most beautiful light, the winter, you go into the Joshua Tree National Park, and it just, it's life changing. So I was out there, and I was taking photographs. So Goldie was, sort of almost a grown up, still kind of young, had that puppy glow, and in that light, and I was taking photographs of her, and it was a download. I mean, it really, when I described that first song I wrote, it just came out almost fully formed. Goldie dreams in colors humans cannot see. Again, that could mean a lot of things, but I meant it. I'm like, it's like, there's a kind of a thing that Goldie and dogs have that humans, and they say, well, dogs only know they're like as intelligent as a 3-year-old, or they only see in black and white and things like that. And I'm like, I think that dogs are, it's like, I want to learn from you how to, yeah. And so Goldie dreams in colors humans cannot see. And this whole thing came about, and it's kind of just about her, but it's also about, isn't it wild how we find each other? It's just so incredible when you find each other, and the magical ways that we find each other, and just a lot of character and humor, like particular to her. But if you love dogs, you might love this book. If you like poetry, it's kind of like an illustrated poem. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. And I don't know how to do it. I had never designed a book or knew how to use the programs or anything like that. And so I spent all of 2024. I spent the whole year, saw it. There are 900,000 versions of that book, like square. And every time I learned something, I'd be like, oh, I have to start all over again. I worked backwards, like a different kind of brain would have been like, oh, here's the motif and here's the ratio and here are the da da da, and then do a sketch and do like a storyboard, and then, but I just started, I was just like, this picture, this color, this, how do I do this? Watch YouTube, do it, do it. So I'm like, and then January 1st of 2025, I was like, it's done. I mean, I didn't try to do it like that, but I just realized I had the version in the right, like if somebody said, can we print this? I'd be like, yes, you can. That was in a digital format. That was on the computer. So it's a combination of digital collage. It's not AI at all, at all, at all. We have to say that these days, but it's kind of got a surreal quality to it, but it's digital collage of me and different kinds of elements. I'm collaging them together. And then like a few days later, LA caught fire. LA caught fire. And it was that January where you were just like, oh, okay. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna do a special limited edition. Like I'm gonna put out come hell or high water. And if people want this book, so I like that, I don't want to say put a fire under me, but it just inspired me to get this version, and this is going to be a special, it never happened before version. And then whoever got it, and by the way, everybody in LA was doing fundraising. I mean, it was just the most altruistic, connected time in the middle of all that horrible stuff. So I was just one of the many, 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 but it was this incredible feeling of like, I would go to everyone's house and help them find their pet. And I would go put a blanket around them, and I would cut like you feel like I'm so limited as a human. What can I do? Well, I can send this out as a transmission of love. And then so I made a lot of versions available. I made a video, and like if you're, going through it and you just want to have a story read to you, I did a digital version, and then I did this and this was even harder. It's so hard. I mean, the first time, I guess it's going to be easier now, but it's like, do you send it in a 3.5 mailer at book rate at, like the package, like all of it. I just did all of it. I'm like, I'm doing all of it. And so that what you have is the limited like pre-release edition, which there's just only 100 of them made. And yeah, you could get one of those right now if you wanted, but then the book is actually going to come out in like a more regular way this fall. So yeah, so Goldie Dreams and Colors. In the meantime, I just you could follow on Instagram, or I have a Goldie Dreams and Colors Instagram if you're interested, and to keep you posted. And then I'll have a way if you want to get the special edition, but then you can also just get like the regular edition too later on when it comes out. But yeah, so that's kind of how that came about. It makes me really happy, and it's quite a pure creative experience where I decided the colors, and I decided that, like, I really did it all, and it made me really, really happy. I think it's often the finishing of the thing that can be another block.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this and put this out. It's like you get right up there. Oh, I'm writing a book. Oh, really? Oh, I'm writing a book. Yeah. 15 years later, you're still writing the book. Like, put the book out. That is big. And then to put it out kind of like, yeah, I 100% can't blame anyone if you don't like it. It's all me. I can't be like, oh, yeah, I know. I hate the way she's saying that or whatever. You just are like, no, this is all me. I made every single decision, but it really feels good. Like it just feels good, to finish it. And that within it, there's like a lot of offshoot ideas that I'm working on, and there's a lot of ways that Goldie is incorporated. Like I've had kids music, happy child music, of all this kind of things, and so I think it's the beginning of. I mean, what else would you want to do except love a dog and celebrate dogs and like help people find their animals and help the animal? I mean, I can't think of anything I'd rather do. I just I just love the organizations that did this. So that one initially we had like a, a special offering, and then that donation went to the Humane Society in Pasadena, who did so continues always does so much. But when all that was happening, what they did and what they continue to do, absolutely extraordinary organization that
Hmm.
I would give them all my money.
Oh, yes. Well, and yeah, this is just such a pure transmission of joy, but I was blown away by the graphics. Like, I mean, it's like you're taking in the words that are so profound, and then you're looking at these visuals, and I mean, they're next level. It's just so insane. I mean, she's like these photos of her like resting her head on a cloud, and I mean, it's truly beyond. And I'll just share a little something that is one of my favorite pages toward the beginning of the book, which is Goldie picked her human very carefully and happily let her human think it picked her. Goldie knows that many things don't need saying. Goldie understands all languages, even silence.
I mean, right?
I'm flooded. I'm literally crying. I mean, so this is just one page from this book. It's so moving, so magical. So, oh my gosh. I mean, thank you for all that you put out. Once again, I just feel like everyone is going to be so inspired to hear this journey of yours and get some little tidbits. And you've just shared so much of yourself with us. So, I'm beyond grateful. And of course, we'll link in julierosefrost.com. You'll want to see the rest of her art and the photography and the things on, yeah, Instagram and whatnot, and the music. And yeah, we're so excited to see what comes next for you. Is there anything we should know or be looking out for aside from the fall release of the book?
I like nothing Carmen. So the book is big. Like the book is a big project. I can't even believe how hard it is. I was telling people, I was like, even just deciding, yeah, just like doing the packaging materials, just about did me in. But I so I've got some things that I don't know for sure, but it looks like they're coming out. Some K-pop things, like that's in the pop realm. And I'm kind of working on, like, I might do a little Christmas. I really love Christmas and holiday music. And I have a Christmas song that I wrote in London during the pandemic called Blame It on the Mistletoe that Ella Henderson sings. So I'm kind of playing with the idea of, I know it's June, it's halfway through the year, so it seems like it's really far off, but I'm kind of playing with the idea of doing some holiday music. But none of that, like, don't take any of that to the bank. The big thing is the book. I'm putting out this book and no one's gonna stop me.
No, they're not. It's you're a force and it's happening. You've got spirit on your side. Ah, magical. Wow. Well, thank you again so much for sharing yourself so generously with us. Love you so much.
I love you so much.